Morning.
Morning.
You look terrified. How are you?
I'm always terrified when you put me on the spot.
Oh, come on now. You're not on the spot yet. It's all good.
You were even more terrifying when you used to work in radio and you'd be in the studio and you'd have your shoes off. You knew it was big trouble.
Yeah. I'm not wearing shoes yet. Yeah.
It's fair.
It's on the road day, as you can see. I have the nice, sweet hotel shot.
Yeah, home for a week.
For a whole week. I know. We're just stalling for a moment while people join us to have coffee with us, but things are good in your world?
Things are fabulous.
That's good. What's new?
It's cold outside.
Yeah, well, it's CFR time. I saw a funny post from, I think it was from Keenan Vine, who had put on his Instagram story. Well, CFR's here because it had turned snowy and it was like minus 15. And he's like, pack your coat.
I think he put a similar post out just before Stampede Week, too, and it started to downpour. He goes, oh, must be Stampede time.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of guess the weather on Stampede, CFR, and when anything's happening at Spruce Meadows. It always is pouring rain on Spruce Meadows weekends, always. Pamela, good morning. Hi, Kathy. Hey, Sue. Morning, Kelly. Hey, Cheryl. Like the gang's all showing up, Jeff.
Yeah, I see that.
Well, because you're a part of Talk O Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Like Taco Tuesday, but we're just going to talk.
Yeah, got it.
Unless you have tacos, and then I'm coming to wherever you are because that would be a great breakfast.
Well, I had yogurt instead, so.
Good morning, Angie. Well, that's good. Welcome to Virtual Coffee Club. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We thought we would check in with the General Manager of the Canadian Professional Rodeo Association. Jeff Robson's having coffee with us this morning, and it's a big week for you guys.
Yeah, it's a long week and a big week and an exciting week. Lots of Canadian champions will be crowned this week. So, yeah, lots of celebration. Tonight's a big gala for the year-end awards. It's going to be fun.
Well, and does it feel, I guess, especially exciting to have this week because you didn't get to have it last year?
It feels like forever, to be honest. And it shouldn't, but it does. And yeah, like with all the highs and lows emotionally about whether we're going to have it, can we have it, will the province allow it to happen? Like all those things, we've been through the whole ringer of emotions to try and get to this spot. And, I think a couple of things were really exciting about this year were attendance at our outdoor events were through the roof, which is great to see that a rodeo is alive and well. And then, as we move into we got a little bit scared as we moved into the indoor season and, with some events canceled, not knowing about the restrictions. I think we have a pretty good handle on restrictions now, what that means, how do we get there, how do we work around it? So, yeah, no, I'm waiting, eagerly ready to kick this week off and get at it.
And it's like the 47th one. How many CFRs have you been involved with personally?
That's a great question. I'd have to reverse the math on that, but I think I qualified for my first CFR in 2003, 2002, 2003, something like that. And I was, then I was involved in different aspects of the, from being an event director on the board of directors to, being fortunate enough to be able to lead this organization and then a couple of times, I guess, and then through some ups and downs it's always a fun time of year. It's a great, just can't wait for the first latch to open so you can kind of go, yes, we're kicked it off. And yeah. And then, I can't wait to smack talk Keenan a little bit this year because, we missed last year and I think I killed them the last two times. So when we do Jeff and Keenan's picks, I'm pretty looking forward to that too. So.
Yeah, there's always some good things. So what would you say, like 15 of them? Have you been involved with 15 of them? You politically answered that question well. Are you thinking of a career in politics after this?
Hope not. Well, I hope not for lots of reasons. One, still people talk to me, so that's a good sign. Yeah. Most politicians, nobody talks to. So, I think there's a few that I missed in the middle. Around probably from 2002 to 2021. Obviously that's 19 of them. Plus, I probably missed a couple. Yeah, so I would say probably 15 or 16 of them for sure. Been involved in some way, or shape, or form, either competing on the board of directors side, event director, or through the management of it with, obviously working with the venues, sponsorships, other things. So yeah, it's been all over the map for sure.
Do you have a favorite one, like of all the ones you've been involved with, that stands out for you?
Well, maybe two. One, the last one in Edmonton was a very emotional one. For lots of reasons. As a kid, you went there and your dream was to compete there someday. So, to see it move out of the Coliseum was, I'd say fairly emotional, and, had got to, know and be such a, have such good friends there at Northlands, and, just to know that there was going to be another page turned, and what does that look like? And yeah, I think just the emotion of that was kind of really cool, is the last one. And then, the next one would be when we moved it to Red Deer. I was a pretty big part of moving that, and or trying to find a new home, I guess, is maybe a better way to describe it. And, to see where we landed, to see how excited Red Deer was to host and still is, and how I think we've been through three sets of management since we moved to Red Deer, from Western Park standpoint. So, no 2 years have ever been the same here. This certainly hasn't helped it at all.
No.
But the first year we came here it was new, it was exciting. Everybody's asking questions. Where do we go? What do we do? How do we get here? People, navigated the city so much easier. That was a big part of Edmonton too, is, when you left the hotel in the morning, you probably weren't coming back. It's a journey across the city, especially with the snow and weather. And I think too, just to see that, you can bomb around Red Deer pretty darn quick, and it's pretty accommodating, and you can actually, fit in time between performances to go have a nap. I mean, that'd be good. I never got to do that when I was in Edmonton. Yeah. So, there's lots of good things about the city of Red Deer, and just how excited they were. I think that was, that had to be, a pretty key moment. But this year, I think our crowds, in terms of ticket sales, are down a little bit, and it's worrisome, because that's a big part of how we generate the money to pay our contestants. So it's a bit worrisome, but, there's just so much uncertainty in the world right now with, what to do and how to handle and navigate things. Do people want to be bothered to do it? I hope they do. We got a great lineup this week for the cabaret. There's 30 first timers to the CFR this year, which I think is that adds an element to it as well, where, it's pretty much an all Canadian roster. So we haven't seen that in 15 or 16 years. So yeah, I think there's some really interesting things to come and see and watch, and there's gonna be lots of really excited competitors. So I think that part's gonna be pretty cool.
I think it's gonna be fun. Now, I was trying to think, because I always like to connect with our coffee crew, in how many years we've worked CFR together. It's got to be at least half a dozen.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I worked it as just a media person for a number of years, and then came on board the CPRA team. But it's been at least half a dozen.
Yeah, we'll be the third one here.
Yeah.
And plus probably 2 or 3 in Edmonton for sure. Yeah.
Fun. Well, and I think it's neat that the two that you say were your favorites were ones that I remember doing specific posts for. And I think one of the things that I thought was really cool is you brought an actual jar of dirt from the venue in Edmonton to the venue in Red Deer, and did like this whole, who knew you could do a ceremonial dirt exchange, but you did.
Yeah, no. Cool. Well, the hardest part was remember what I wore when I was putting the dirt in the jar for the video. It was
your movie continuity moment.
Exactly, right? So it was like, take selfie, see what you're wearing, so you don't screw this up. Yeah.
Hopefully that shirt still fits the next year.
It's a struggle. Go Peloton.
So you are a former competitor in rodeo. Is that what you feel is your, like, what's your drive? Where's the passion come from for you to continue to work in this association and this sport? Like, what's the passion point for you?
It would have to be, I think in the early days, especially because I was a team roper, there was lots of inadequacies. We weren't full members for a long time. There was not even there was a whole battle of trying to actually get into CFR, highlighting that event. And then, seeing kind of my era of people coming along and seeing now their kids coming and going, how do we make this good enough as a professional sport that they would be willing to embark on this as a big, strong push for a career? So, seeing the Colton Schmidts and the Kyle Lucases and seeing those kids, Jake Burwash, seeing those kids come along now in that next generation, and going, this is legitimate. This is actually a sport where they actually, if we do a really good job with this event, would make their season and would give them an ability to pursue their dreams. So I think that's always been my motivation, is make sure that people are treated. Barrel racers went through it, team ropers went through it. This year we're highlighting breakaway roping during our rodeo performance. So instead of kind of the old way was, we bring them along and, we maybe put them after the bull riding or let them do something else after. And, I think that just didn't feel good to me. Why would we ask somebody to do that when I could see breakaway roping being a huge part of our sport and our membership going forward? Why wouldn't we want to include them in the rodeo performance and treat them just like everybody else? So, there's some few nuances as we're rolling it into, because obviously we had budget set and some other things, but, to the extent that we can make that happen, I think that's going to be the next big push is how do we be more inclusive? How do we make sure that, if there's a new event that we're bringing on, we do it with the right way and we work, it's not a struggle for those people to come along. So there's kind of a bunch of things there, and I really enjoy working with the venues, the people at the venues, just about everywhere, Northlands and here that I've been a part of, become longtime friends, and it's a great rewarding experience. So I think those are the things that, there's a sour side of it too, where there's
Every
the complaint.
industry has that.
Yeah, where there's people complain about this or complain about that, and you're not going to make everybody happy. We have a lot of members. We have over almost 1,000 members, so you're not going to be the good guy every day. But I think as long as you're trying to look at the masses and what's good for the sport and do it in a a moral and ethical way, I think that's the way to approach it. And yeah, so I think that's been my drive, is to make sure that it's done at a high standard, and how do we continue to do that and have some fun with it along the way.
When do you think there's a challenge in, I don't know, because I think what's interesting, I find in being sort of a spectator of the sport, is this is it's a all the way across Canadian association. It's a pro level association. It's a sport. But do you think that the average fan sees it like that? Because I think, being an Albertan, and we have people that watch us from all over the world in coffee clubs, but is it an interesting challenge to be looked at as a professional sport as opposed to a lifestyle and something that happened on the weekends in a lot of small towns? Because there's an interesting transition there.
Yeah. It's probably a bit of both. What makes rodeo work is our communities. That's what makes rodeo work. We have, stock providers that make it work. We have contestants that make it work. We have an enormous amount of volunteers across the country that make it work. So, it's that passion, keeping that history alive, the heritage, is a pretty cool. As you see, as things get, TVized. You start looking at things like Yellowstone and hit series like that, where the Cowboys Cool has come back again in a big way. And
big way.
Yeah. So, I think that's certainly not hurting our sport. And seeing how, especially because we're predominantly Western Canada, to see how the Western Canadians have responded to this event and sponsorship and, just pulling together, and the fact that, everybody is willing to give something to make this happen. I think this has been really interesting. So,
yeah, kind of cool. What's your favorite thing about Canadian Finals Week?
When it's over.
Sunday night is amazing. Yeah.
Sunday night is usually really good. No, I mean, just to see people when in their wins and celebrating those wins, and going to the buckle presentations in the evening, and seeing what those wins mean to people, and how it impacts their life, and it's changed. It changes their outlook on things, and yeah, and I think Cowboys generally are pretty humble. They're any other sport, baseball, see somebody wins, their division or whatever, they're dumping beer on their head and like jumping around, and Cowboys just say, "Oh yeah, it was good," like just that whole humble,
Yeah.
Piece. I mean, it'd be fun to get a little bit more into it, but who knows? Yeah, I really like to see people that have success and do well, but in order to do well, you probably went through some trials and tribulations too. So rodeo is just like all the other sports. I'm very involved with hockey, and hockey's the same. In any given game, in 3 periods of hockey, you can have massive swings one way or the other. Well, go rounds are very similar. You can have a really great go round, or have a good horse or a good bull or a good run, a good time. The next one could be terrible, right? So you have to be able to manage those highs and lows, and have a good short memory, and just get back at it, right? Like that's just like any other sport. So you love to see the races, how they're shaping up, who could possibly win. I trying to follow it all, but typically I get pulled in lots of directions, and I'm usually the guy asking on Sunday, so who's got a chance?
Well, and with 30 first timers this year, it's really going to be an interesting.
Yeah, I think it could be really
I don't know
cool.
if it'll really just be such a given this year, if that makes sense. Me with sports talk, it's questionable at best.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, right? I remember my first time coming to the CFR, and I know how excited I was. So, when we get down to orientation today and start walking everybody through, and just to see the beaming smiles, and tonight everybody will get their jackets and back numbers, and I remember to get that jacket the first time was like the weight was off your shoulders, right? Like, okay, I finally did it, right? And so yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, and should be a good rodeo. The stock is going to be phenomenal. So yeah.
Well, and it's kind of, we've talked about this before when I've chatted with people during like Canadian Country Music Week. This is the same kind of feel, is that it's kind of like old home week. You run into people you haven't seen for a little while. Everybody kind of knows each other. It's like a big family reunion.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of fun.
Yeah, and I don't get to as many rodeos as I used to when I competed, obviously, and thank goodness. I'm tired of driving, to be honest.
You're old now.
Yeah, I'm just old. Yeah, and it's great to catch up. There's still lots of people involved in the industry. So whether they're like Troy Fisher, a guy that I roped with and competed against, and for years, he's still he's one of our suppliers. He builds unbelievable belt buckles, and so it'd be great to catch up with him tonight, and his wife, and people I don't get to see like that very often. So lots of those people still come, and there's always really interesting storylines.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that like lots of the crew that are hanging out with us this morning are Alberta based. So good news for all of them. They could come and have fun with us this week. They could come join us. There's There's tickets. There's fun. It's going to be good.
Free cabarets.
Yeah. Ooh, do you think I could name them all?
I know the first one.
Aaron
That's not
Aaron
Aaron
Pritchett
Pritchett. That's first.
is the first guy. I don't know if I have the order right, but we've got Corey Marks too, who's coming from Ontario. Really cool guy. We have Trevor Panzak from Southern Alberta, who's going to be on Coffee Club with us tomorrow. And Dan Davidson, who's an Alberta guy also. So they're all doing very well. So it's going to be good. Plus, they just announced, I saw CFR announce yesterday, their all-star band. So they've got lots of local Alberta artists that are going to be performing too. So like there's music, there's rodeo, and tickets are available.
Yeah, and the trade show during the day. There's cattle shows. Like there's lots going on. So there's lots to do.
Good. All right. Well, I guess we should be mindful of your time and let you go get at her. But thanks for having coffee with us today.
No problem. That's good because my coffee's now getting cold because it's in a styrofoam cup.
Well, it's hotel coffee, so you got to go get a good one now anyway.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Awesome. All right, Jeff. Well, thank you for connecting with us today, everybody. Hopefully you'll grab your tickets, come check out, see what CFR 47 is going to be all about, and have an awesome day, everyone. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.